Hi everyone, welcome to Tony Fox Tarot. Thanks for joining me today and great to have you with me. Today we're looking at whether it's over or not. Now, what's going on between you and this other person? What are the dynamics? What are the circumstances? How do they think and feel about you? How do you think and feel about them? What's been happening in the past? How has it come to this particular position right now? Why is this all going on for you? And where's it all going? What's the future outcome? So we're doing a timeline as to where this is all going, a prediction and a forecast with an outcome as to whether it's over or not. Now, we've got lots to get through, but before we get started, if you would like to go down below and hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon while you're there. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. Please like and share this video where you can. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is that you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Now, before you on the screen, we've got 4 different piles of cards, and the idea is to choose a pile that resonates with you really strongly. It's perfectly fine to choose more than one pile if it comes through very clearly for you. And just remember, this is a general reading, so take what resonates and leave behind anything that doesn't. Now, we've got pile 1, pile 2, pile 3, and pile 4. So taking a moment to be with the cards, drawing in a nice deep breath, allowing your intuition to guide you, listening to your inner voice, to the energy of the cards. Which of these piles comes through for you the strongest? Is it pile 1, pile 2, pile 3, or pile 4? Down below there are 4 different timestamps representing each of these different piles. If you'd like to go to the one that you've chosen, I'll be with you in a moment. Hi everyone, welcome to card 1. This is your reading and we're looking at where this is all going in this particular relationship. Is it over? Or is there any hope of things moving forward? Now, cards are on the table. Let's jump on in, and I'm up here with the Hangman and the 10 of Swords. I felt this was a really good start point to look at the other person. And I felt this is somebody who can get quite heavy, in all fairness. I think they do have a tendency to look at the glass half empty as opposed to half full. And I feel that, I kind of feel like there's the weight of the world on this person. Nothing's ever right. It's just never easy going. You know, there's no forward flow that just naturally seems to take you to a place where everything's in balance and happy and easygoing. I kind of feel like they're always burdened with problems or issues around the relationship. I do feel that this person can get quite depressed, and that can really get in the way of them being able to see the potential of where things can go for themselves, for the relationship. I really feel like trust is a big issue for this person. I mean, you know, the 10 of Swords is a card of betrayal and of feeling let down, but I always feel that this is a card that also reflects on accumulative trust issues over a lifetime. There's the tendency for this particular person to project forward in a way where they feel like everything's going to go wrong. But I don't feel like it's just the relationship. My sense is that they actually look at life very much like that. I get a very sensitive person coming through here, highly creative, or at least very aesthetically refined in a way that they've got a fine-tuned eye for things. They can be very particular, and I think if things don't meet their standard, then they have a tendency to maybe not be so forgiving about that, you know. So I get a feeling that this is actually somebody who's quite hard work, and they throw up a lot in relationships, generally speaking. That makes it very difficult to navigate them. They can be quite a tricky person to navigate. Very specific, very particular, very very sensitive, and just not very not very easy. I mean, I feel like I'm describing kind of a very negative picture, and I think at the moment it actually very much is that. I feel in relation to your dynamic between the both of you, that this person's playing a bit of a victim, and that they're looking at where things are at this particular time in a way where they feel that everything's set to kind of like some sort of insurmountable problem. Trust is definitely an issue for them, as I said. I kind of feel they're just not opening up. I just don't feel like they're letting you in fully in a way where you're really getting to grasp a sort of like a full emotional spectrum, right? In fact, I feel actually that's the one thing I do feel very strongly here, is that this person doesn't give a lot on an emotional level. I think for you, it's kind of come to crunch time down here with Justice and the Seven of Wands. I feel it's crunch time, like you're really weighing up where things are at and what it is that you really want as a person. I think you're sort of treading water on what's going on in a way where you're really hoping for the best. I think you're carrying on, like your responsibility to keep things moving forward in terms of the momentum. And I think largely this particular relationship is moving forward solely because of the efforts that you're actually putting in. And I think this is a big part of what the problem is here, that there isn't like an even distribution of flow. Like there's no give and take. It's all one-sided. It's all about them, and it's all about their problem. It's all about what they're not getting, and it's all about how they've been let down. And you're in there sort of, I think you're really kind of, figuring out your worth in light of what's going on. But I also think you're actually really making a strong case for the relationship. I think you're really trying to point out to this person. I mean, justice is all about looking at things in fairness, in balance. And you're saying to them, look, despite the fact that things aren't moving forward in the easiest of ways, I feel like, I really feel like this relationship has the potential to move forward, to get over this hurdle in a way where we can really find some new ground and unfold in a way that realizes its truest potential. And I think you're actually very serious about that. I think that for you, you're still prepared to give this a go in a way where you really want to see some positive, fruitful outcomes. Either way, though, I kind of feel like for you as an individual, you're really treading water on what's going on in this relationship. You're maintaining your ground, you're maintaining the course of forward momentum, but it's all up to you in a way where I think, that's not sustainable. And I think maybe you're also starting to realize that in a way. Coming over here to the World and the Ten of Wands. And I feel like, this is a really good start point, kind of looking more historically at this other person. I kind of feel they've never really seen the true potential of where this is going in terms of the relationship potential. I think they've gone along with the flow with you in a way where they've been on board, but they can't really see the wood for the trees. I think there's a lot of different reasons for that. I think that they've actually had a lot going on in their world. I think this is actually quite an ambitious person. I mean, the world is certainly, it's, very, very high, far-reaching aims in terms of wanting to get, to be successful. And the Ten of Wands is sort of, it's a card of work and effort. And I feel like they've actually been working very hard towards being successful in their own right. They're never getting there, though. They're never really finding that place of, reaching the pinnacle to absorb and appreciate what it is they've actually done, and maybe they're not even getting that from other people. I kind of feel like this person's a little bit lost. They can't see the wood for the trees. They're kind of very much stuck in the experience of trying to make things happen, and they're always throwing stuff at it in a way that's not particularly strategic. I kind of think they're just sort of in there, push in a way where they're just hoping for the best, really. And I think that actually is also very much reflective of the relationship. This is somebody who's actually quite self-absorbed. Super self-absorbed, I would have said. Very, very absorbed with their work focused, and I think really struggling to get ahead in a way where they feel like they're actually succeeding. But what I feel with this person, more generally speaking, I kind of feel like this is somebody who needs to be carried, needs to be supported. I don't feel like this is somebody who's thriving in their own right. This smacks of codependency for me. I feel this person leans on you really heavily. And they expect a lot. And I think a part of what they do to get what it is that they want is through their struggle. It's like I'm trying really hard, I'm giving everything I can. Can't you see the efforts that I'm making? But I just can't seem to, they just can't seem to get there. And it's almost like they're wanting you to feel sorry for them in a way where you take the weight, where you take the extra slack so that you kind of make it a little bit easier for them. And that's actually quite heavy. They've got the weight of the world on their shoulders. And I think that they do have a tendency to play the victim. The thing is that I kind of see what you see. I see this potential in this person that if only they kind of just let go a little bit more and just went with the flow and kind of trusted in things, things could really open up in a way where it could be really amazing. Because actually, this, right, is a diamond in the rough. And I think you know that. Because if I come down here to Chariot and the Six of Wands, you are very determined. It's all guns blazing, totally on board in terms of the context of this relationship. And I'm going more into the history here. So we're reflecting back into the past. And you've seen this person, you've seen the potential and where things can go with them. You've seen the potential in them. And I think you've actually kind of believed in them in a way where you've wanted to put them right and get them on track in a way where, you can make this work, make it succeed. And the thing is, you're quite visionary as an individual. I think, when you believe in something, you give it 100%. You've understood the potential and where this is going. And I think also, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think you take no for an answer. A person like you, once you make your mind up, you set your sights on what it is that you want, there's no backing down. It's all guns blazing. Let's make this happen. There's a determination there that won't give up. You're locked into it in a way where until you actually get the results, you're not going to be happy. So you won't let it go. And I think that that's actually difficult because there's a tendency to be a little bit tunnel focused there. And I can understand why you're on board with this particular person. So definitely on board, fix your sights on succeeding with them. But the thing is, I think also, I'm also seeing here that you're a very hardworking person. You're a very determined individual in your own right, and you're really striving towards success. But the thing is, you actually reach successful outcomes, and you also reach the acknowledgement within yourself and externally from other people or from organizations or wherever it is. You actually get that. I can see why you're attracted to each other. This person wants a piece of that action, and you also want to show them the way in terms of getting to that next level because you believe that they can actually do it. You can see that you can see the DNA there, so to speak. So lots going on in terms of the basis of this particular relationship. Crunch time in terms of where things are at. Where's it all going for the future? Because that's the most important part. I feel where things are heading with the other person. Over here is the Hermit and the Eight of Cups. I don't feel like this person's going to let you go. Yeah. I don't feel that they... What I feel is that they will hang on to you, is what I'm saying. But they're going to hang on to you for some reasons that I find very questionable. I really do feel that their heart is not in this relationship. The one thing I don't pick up here is heartfelt love. I think there is an evolved, very entangled, emotional connection that has and I would have said that there's this relationship, it kind of feels like there's a length of time here. Like if it hasn't been a long time, and I think it, for some of you, it actually could have been a very long period of time. It just feels like this has a long lasting sort of like the experience feels quite complicated and in depth in a way where it's sort of maybe it's sort of not exhausting, but it just kind of feels like you've been at this for a long time. I feel that this person will recognize that they don't fully love you. Okay, and that's really cold comfort and very, very difficult probably to hear. And I think deep down that they actually will really want to leave the relationship, but they're not going to do that. They're going to hang on. And the reason for that is because they're very codependent. And I feel that you are not the first person they've actually had codependency issues with. I feel like this is actually a problem that continuously haunts them and lets them down in terms of relationship. It's almost like a self-fulfilling projection. that somebody is going to let me down, that they're going to betray me because they're not there for me, and I'm trying to hang on to this relationship to make it work. But the reality is that they're just not being honest with themselves about how is it they really feel, because they're just self-absorbed about their own needs, and they're with you, drawing on your resource of positive potential because they're the negative downside of that. And unfortunately, they're not evolving and learning to understand what their shortfallings are on that particular level. And so, they're just swimming around in this very small experience that is not learning the lesson. So I kind of feel that if we come down here to the Moon and the King of Swords, I feel that for you, you're the one that's going to break this off. You're the one that's going to have the final word. The uncertainty is going to be a deal breaker for you, and I feel that you'll no longer be able to handle this, single-handedly. You're the one that's actually pushing forward in a way that gives it all the momentum. You're the one that's in there trying to prop it all up. You're the one that's also treading the water as you're doing that. And that's actually a lot of hard work. There's a lot of effort going into this that's actually becoming really exhausting. And I feel that that's unsustainable. I feel that the difficulty here, right, is that yes, you'll cut away and that you have a responsibility to yourself and that it's just going to be much easier for you to move forward. But I feel that you're then going to deal with a sense of deep hurt and a sense of betrayal of your own around this particular relationship. And I think you've got to be really careful there, because in many ways, and this is a bit of hard love, in many ways, this is what you wanted. You pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed to get this on track and to move it forward because you saw a diamond in the rough, and you've been so consumed by trying to make it into a success that you've forgotten to check in. How does it you really feel about this person at a deep level? And when I say that, it's not just about your emotional connection to them. It's about understanding from a more instinctual point of view what's going on. And I feel that with some reflection, you'll look back at this experience and you'll see where you've actually gone wrong in a way where you will think that you should not have actually gotten involved in the first place. Now, that's easy to say on reflection, but at the end of the day, what really seals this deal for me in terms of it being over is that I don't see the bond that can really prop it up to sustain it with some sort of hope. Yeah. And for me, that's actually about the other person. I feel that they're not loving you back in a way where it's fully heartfelt and anchored from an experience that really is love. So very hard and difficult aspects to absorb there, but I kind of feel like, this is a real struggle, and, this person has a victim mentality, and, it may be very unconscious on one level, but at the end of the day, they're actually playing out a set of experiences that have been played out before in their world. And things will come to a point where you will naturally just get to a position where you'll say, I've had enough. Look, I hope this reading has made some sense, and if it has, feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care. Bye-bye. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 2. So we're looking at whether this is over today. So what's going on between the two of you? Is this over or does it have a future? And cards are on the table, so let's jump on in and get straight into it. Up here at Temperance and the Ace of Chalices, I feel that this other person actually is really into the relationship. So I'm kind of feeling this is more about you than it is about the other person. I feel that they're really pushing towards the idea of, evolving into having kids, or about planning the idea of when you're going to have kids. I think that they're very much in love with you. There's a really strong connection there, and I get a very spiritual element coming through in this reading. I'm wondering whether this other person or yourself is very spiritual, or whether there's even some sort of a religious factor going on in the context of what I'm seeing. That could have something to do with the background of the other person or the background of the both of you in terms of social pressure, because I do pick up social pressure in terms of the idea of settling down and having kids. So for me, I kind of feel that they're really pushing towards making this happen in a way that goes next level. And it's really about having children and planning for the future. And I don't feel that you're necessarily on board with that just at the moment. If I come down here to the Hermit and the Knave of Wands, I feel that there is a very long-standing, deep, reflective consideration about what is it you really want. I think you've actually been thinking about this for quite some time, and it's been creeping up on you very slowly but surely, to the point where you're wondering whether you should make a break and get out of this relationship. I think deep down, you're really yearning for some kind of experience that actually just gives you more in life. There's almost a resistance there's almost a resistance to the idea of settling down and giving up your freedom is really what this is about for me. I feel like you've got itchy feet and that you're very fidgety, and there are some very long-standing, deep burning desires to see the world, to have experiences that are more expressive of who it is that you really are as a person. And I think you recognize that you're not on the same page in a way where, you're just acknowledging that this potential to do something else really exists within yourself. But I think that the problem here is how do you face the other person in a way where you actually can let them down and just be truthful and honest. I think there's quite a lot of stuff here that actually backs up, a complicated picture that makes that a bit of a frightening proposition. And if I come over here to the Chariot and the Six of Wands, and I feel like you've just been caught up. I think the both of you have been really caught up in a fast-tracked, express lane sort of, experience that is taking you towards this commitment that neither of you have really thought through in any sort of great depth. I feel that there has been a lot of social pressure, actually. That could be friends and family. It could be a cultural thing as well. But I definitely feel that there are people in the background who are saying this is the one. This is the person that you really should be with. You'd be mad not to make this commitment. Everything's working out really, really well. I think almost like other people kind of envy you and envy this other person in a way where you're put on a pedestal that is whatever, it's like it's what everybody else wants to have. It's like this is a relationship that seems really successful, that is heading to great places in terms of, accomplishing some really neat stuff. I think the idea of housing comes up really strongly, so does security. I'm wondering whether you had both made a commitment with each other that was sort of moving towards the idea of either buying a place or moving in together, or I think you're both very super focused on work and getting successful outcomes in terms of your careers. But yeah, so for me, I kind of feel like things have just taken off very quickly, and there's just been a lot of pressure behind the scenes that have kind of pushed you both into this in a way where you just haven't had time really to think about what is it you really want. Neither one of you, actually. And then backing that up even further is this idea that it's almost like a conditioning in some ways. It's like, to think about the relationship or to think about where it's going in a way that might question it. There's almost like been a hesitancy there. Because if you were to do that, then you would actually be coming off track in a way that made it a little bit more complicated, because everybody else seems to think it's such a great idea, and you're kind of just caught up in the moment, really, is what I'm feeling. And if I come up here to the Hierophant and the Knight of Pentacles, I feel like this person's actually made a proposal. Definitely, and if it's not a sort of, on the knee moment, making a proposal of marriage, it's definitely about proposing a commitment of some sort in the nearer future. I don't feel that the two of you have necessarily been ready. I kind of feel like this could either be like a long-standing engagement or some kind of prelude to a commitment. I feel like the other person has been very focused on finances and security and, really wanted to get things in order. I think money's been a really consideration for them. They're very security minded. This is not somebody who likes to think outside of the box too much. I don't want that to sound boring, but I kind of feel that there is a degree of predictability about their nature. And I think that actually makes them very reliable. They're very honest as a person. What you see is what you get. And, it's slow and steady wins the race with them. No hard lefts, no hard rights. It's kind of like just, chipping away at things consistently, very level-headed, and, a very bright personality. I think there's a lot of positivity that comes through them. And I think that actually makes it a really pleasant experience in terms of being with somebody who is just so level-headed and it's consistency for me. That's what this person actually has to offer. I feel that has actually been a really important consideration. The fact that they are consistent, the fact that they are security minded. I think that's actually grounded this experience, because otherwise it would be very heady and whirlwind, and it probably wouldn't make so much sense. I think, you're heading in a direction that's certainly about settling down, but the idea of somebody who is so committed on so many other levels that actually brings a lot of security to the relationship actually makes it even more difficult to kind of oppose, really, because it just makes so much sense. And I think that's what actually shines through for me, is that this is a very sensible proposition in terms of a future with somebody. So where is all of this going? Because you've got two very different personalities. This other person is very consistent, very steadfast, quite resilient, and very accepting, very honest, and we really love that. But you're actually quite spirited, and I think you're a bit more of a risk taker, and I think you like to go hard and fast in a way that has a few twists and turns on the path. And so you've got two very different personalities. And I think in the beginning, I don't know that love has really been the consideration. I think it's actually been more about what's on paper and what everybody else has been telling you, in many ways. Whereas now you're at this point of kind of going, is this really what I want? And I think what's really important is that this person, if they didn't love you before, they've certainly grown to love you in a way where they're fully committed and they actually want to go next level. Up here to the Magician and the Knight of Chalices, I feel that this person is definitely going to push you towards the idea of marriage. They're really up for it, and look, they really do love you. The Magician, is a very motivated character, and it's coupled with the Knight of Chalices, who is love mobilized. It's the idea or the concept of love moving forward in a way that actually evolves. And they see the opportunity to take this to the next level in terms of the commitment. So I kind of really feel this person's pushing towards marriage or to committing in a way that takes this relationship to the next level. And I really feel that kids are a part of that for many of you. It won't necessarily be for everybody, but I kind of just get this feeling that it's somebody who has puppy dog eyes. It's going to be really hard to say no to them if that's not what you want, because they're also going to be very motivated and pushy about it. And I feel that there's a lot of social pressure behind this person that's actually saying, look, when are you guys getting married? And I think that could either be their family, it could be both of your families, or it certainly could be your extended family, your social network, or your cultural network. It's like, push, 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 push. Are you going to make this happen? When are you going to make this happen? We're still waiting. So I think it's going to be very, 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 very difficult to confront that in a way, because if you actually question what's going on in a way where you want to kind of just pause and reflect and actually take some time out, or whether you actually say no, it's like, you're going to burst their bubble, and it's going to be very heartbreaking for them in a way where it will confront the both of you.
So what's going to happen there? I think the outcome for me is that this relationship, based on where you're at as an individual, is over. If we come down here to the Tower and the Seven of Chalices, I think the uncertainty of this relationship is going to get the better of you. And the lack of your own assertion, one way or the other, will speak volumes to this other person, because I kind of feel that you're going to put this off, and there's only so much putting off you can do before it's going to become really obvious, and it will then actually become an issue. I think initially you're going to be really fearful of confronting how does it you really feel deep down, because there's going to be so many mixed feelings. I think that's a big part of where you're still thrashing through the kind of the layers of this rather complicated situation. It's like, how do I really feel? Is this really what I want? You've got other people telling you what they think. You've got the idea of it moving towards somewhere that's really secure, the idea of having kids. It's everything you're supposed to want. It's everything you're supposed to feel, but you don't know how you feel. And I think because you don't know how you feel, that there is going to be a lot of uncertainty, and you're not going to be able to get a footing on this in a way where you can actually make your mind up one way or the other. I feel that the truth at the bottom of this is, as I've already really outlined, the reality is that you're yearning for experiences that are above and beyond this relationship in a way that gets you out into life so that you can unfold the type of person that you actually are. You're an adventurer. You're a spirited person who wants to go hard and fast and have some fun, and you want the experience to be full and spiritual and deep and meaningful, and you want to go full circuit. This other person's really lovely, but they're very safe. They're very secure, and they've got all the other great stuff going on as well. But the reality is that you're completely different types of people wanting completely different types of things. This person wants to commit and have a relationship that fits inside a box that they can tick, that shows everybody else that they're doing the right thing. You want something a little bit more than that. I feel that the relationship on that level doesn't have the basis that it needs to sustain next level commitment. And for me, I kind of feel that you need to be honest with yourself now. Otherwise, it's going to be really painful for the other person if you keep this going any longer, really. I think what I would be saying is not to be thinking about everything so much. If you keep on thinking it, you're just going to stir the pot, and the emotions are going to rise, and it's going to become more complicated. I think just get to the focus and just be honest with yourself about how you really feel about this person. And I just don't feel that the love is there in a reciprocal way from you to them. That really gives it the strength so that it actually can survive. I hope this reading has made some sense, and if it has, feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Please like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. And if you were interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of info about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much, and take care. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 3. This is your reading, and we're looking at whether this relationship is over. So what's going on between the two of you, and the cards are on the table, so let's jump on in. A lot of what I feel here today is that this is really about the other person's character. And it really is based on what they want. If I look down here to the Hermit and the Ace of Pentacles, I think for you at this particular point in time, there's a longing, and it's a very long-standing desire for a secure commitment in terms of taking the relationship to the next level. I think you're looking to do that in a number of different ways. I think part of that is actually about financial security, so maybe looking to anchor the relationship in a way that, looks towards putting money in the bank, maybe buying a house and getting a deposit together. Either way, it's about the long game for you. You're really looking to the long-term future in terms of wanting to ground the relationship in a very practical sense, so that it just has an underpinning or a footing that gives you a secure direction for the long-term future. Yeah. I'm over here at the Tower and the Queen of Chalices, and I really feel that you're very in love with this person at quite a deep level. I question how much you've actually expressed that. I think there's been a number of things over a period of time that have really caused you to feel a bit confronted about how deep you feel about this person. You recognize that you're in love with them. I don't know that you've wanted to face all of the truths about them at a deeper level. Yeah, issues for trust come up for me here. I think you're a very strong, caring, nurturing type of person, very loving, very compassionate, very sensitive to other people's needs. You know, there's a real healer here for me. I think the issue that I take with some of that is that I think there is a tendency to want to jump on in at the deep end with people and to help them put things back together in a very loving, very caring way. I don't think that you necessarily think about that. I don't think that you process what that means in terms of the journey that will actually take you, because it's just a natural, very innate, instinctual response to want to help people, to bring them back to stability, to health, to a level of competence, perhaps, and so there's a tendency to be really sympathetic and sometimes far too forgiving for people as well. I think you give the surefire of your own back, and that can get you into trouble at times. There's a person, for some of you, I kind of feel that the idea of maybe kids and, having a family was also a part of the picture for your longer term future as well. I'm all over the shop, but I'm going to come over here to the Lovers and the Three of Wands, and I'm looking more to the past. I felt this person really pursued you to get your attention. I kind of feel like they really put it out there in a way where they moved very hard and fast, in a way where they were really trying to. Yeah, it's pursuit for me. I think they were very keen on you, and they wouldn't take no for an answer, and they were right on in there in a way that just very openly, very expressively fessed up how they really felt. And I kind of felt maybe a little bit of love at first sight here, for them. I think that they were really taken by you. They were very attracted to you, or still are, very attracted to you at on a sexual level. I get a very confident, very outgoing person who's good with people. Very strong sexual identity too. I kind of feel that that's actually a big feature as far as their personality and character is concerned. I feel that they're very expressive as far as their sexuality is concerned. I think that this is somebody who needs to feel validated sexually. They need to feel that they are attracted. They need to feel that other people look at them, maybe desire them. I kind of feel like this is somebody who is monkey gripped or monkey jumped, got swung from one relationship to another. I kind of feel like it's been one relationship, out of that relationship, straight into another relationship. My sense is that perhaps there might have been a bit of a lapse, a bit of a break for some of you. When you met this person, maybe they'd been in a relationship, not in the sort of too distant past, but there was a small gap. And it might even be the case for other people where this person was straight out of a relationship and straight into a relationship with you. But they really made their mind up on what they wanted in terms of you. And for them, it was just, like a very instinctual response, and they felt very attracted to you. And I think if I come down here to the Magician and the Knight of Wands, I think at that time for you, there was a lot of other things that were actually going on in your life. You're quite an independent individual. I think, my sense was that when you met this person, that you were going in a very different direction. I felt like everything was really taking off for you in a way. There could be work or career or any kind of activity, like study maybe, anything that you're putting your focus into that's sort of taking you upwards and onwards in life. I kind of felt that things were taking off. You were moving forward in a really positive direction, but it was a very independent direction. You were doing your own thing. I think you're actually, you were very happy being on your own, and that a relationship hadn't really sort of been something that you'd factored in greatly. I think you were quite happy just, cracking on with it on your own sort of steam and doing your own kind of thing. But this person has certainly gotten your attention, and because they've been very persistent, I think that it's sort of had
change the course of your life in some ways. And I feel that in some ways you were a bit cautious about this person in the beginning. I think that you identified that there could be maybe a little bit of trouble there. I mean, maybe there were issues around trust or behavioral patterns that, you didn't necessarily fully resonate with, and which made you feel a little bit cautious, is what I'm saying. I think also, for me, that you both jumped straight on into this relationship. I felt that there was, like an established foundation here in terms of your connection with each other. So this could be a year, maybe 2 years. And if it's not that, it definitely feels like you've actually built a very secure connection in a way that certainly addresses this idea of taking it to the next level. I think things have sort of moved sufficiently forward in a way where you're very naturally starting to ask the questions about where this is going for the long-term future, which is why you're looking at security and stability and looking at the long game. But coming back to the past, kind of felt like you were totally up for it with this relationship. I think you trusted your instincts. It felt right for you in a way where you just jumped on in and it all took off. I think there's a lot in common with the two personalities. I think very energetic people, very outgoing people, very adventurous by nature. I get very social. Both of you being very social people, very open, very outgoing, kind of up for lots of different things. There's a really sort of young, athletic, and very buzzy energy that comes through here, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you actually have to be that person physically. I just kind of, I get very spirited people who are very adventurous and very open-minded, very out there in a way that's kind of exciting, And so maybe young at heart if you're not really young. Where's this person though? I think this is where things are a little bit difficult for you, because you've grown to really love this person in a way where you're wanting to anchor the relationship for a future. This person started off by pursuing you. I mean, been very persistent to kind of make this relationship happen and sort of push through. Wouldn't take no for an answer. And all of a sudden, you're at this place now, here with a star and the Knave of Wands, and the energy is completely changed. I feel that this other person has, I kind of feel that their focus has changed. Yeah. They seem all of a sudden very preoccupied, very distant. They're just not present when you're having a conversation with them. And I kind of feel like there's a sort of a slightly withdrawn nature there, like not nature, but, like a slightly sort of withdrawn behavior. I feel that, everything was moving towards what you were hoping that it would move towards in the beginning. And I kind of feel that they're still on board with that to some degree, but all of a sudden now they're kind of, making different types of sounds and giving off different types of hints that indicate maybe they have a very different focus to what it is that you've got. Maybe they're looking at a different career trajectory that takes them in a different direction. Maybe they're talking about travel and wanting to get out there into the world in a way where they're exploring things. There's a fidgetiness there. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of feel like this person is really unsettled. I also feel like they become really quite flirtatious as well. And I feel like that's actually been a little bit obvious. Rubberneck are the words that come up for me here. You're walking down the street and this person is looking at somebody who is really attractive. Or they're looking at somebody who's looking at them, who finds them very attractive. And, maybe it just goes on a little bit too long. It's like all of a sudden they're looking, beyond the boundaries or the parameters of the relationship that they've actually secured with you. And it's kind of like they're looking outwardly in a way that they're wanting to fulfill some sort of desire to be out there, is what I feel, but look, I don't think that that's just one single level. I kind of feel like it's lots of different levels. But what I will say is that the idea of trust is one that really comes up for me here. And I kind of feel that, sometimes this idea of flirting with other people comes, the boundaries are just a little bit, they're just a little bit weak.
Yeah, I think it's kind of getting a bit uncomfortable and a little bit blurred in terms of where they're going with all of that. So for me, fidelity is certainly an issue that comes up and that makes me question what is it they're doing, what is it they're wanting. And I feel that this is somebody who needs that validation. But the question is, are they committed to where this is going in terms of the ideas that you're really expressing to them? Yeah, you're looking for the long-term secure aim, and all of a sudden, they're just not on board in a way that gives you that confidence to feel that it's really sort of going to manifest in a way that you would hope for. I think what I find here that's difficult about this particular reading is that it's the behavior of the other person. And I think that as a future outcome, over here to the Devil and the Seven of Swords, mistrust is what it's all about. I kind of feel that this person is going to start doing things behind your back. And I feel that they're already doing that in some degree, although I think it's pretty tame at the moment. Maybe they're just flirting a little bit too much, or maybe they've gotten frisky with somebody somewhere at some point, and, it hasn't gone all the way, but, it's certainly brushing up against the relationship in a way that brings it into question. And I feel that this person is the type of person who needs that kind of validation, and that they will end up seeing somebody else, but they won't be honest about it. I think that they'll mask it all in a technicality. They'll kind of wrap the story up with some truth in a way that, validates maybe your perception about what's going on, but it won't give you the full story so that you really know what's happening. So I kind of feel that this person is going to be too insecure to face what is it they're doing in a way that is sort of transparent, that they won't be honest with you because they don't want to leave you. Yeah. And I think that what will end up happening here is that this, and I kind of feel like it already is that this person will end up just lying, yeah? And that they'll become quite at ease with that, and they'll do things behind your back, and that the idea of trust will become a real problem. The difficulty here is that I think where you're at is that you're very much in love with this person, and I just don't see that reciprocated at an equal level. I think that they are very attached to you, that they are very loving towards you, but this is somebody who operates on a slightly egotistical level, which needs to be validated at a real physical level as well. And I think that they let that get the better of them. And what they're not doing is just taking it to the next level in terms of going deeper into the experience of a heartfelt connection, right? That's what I feel. I feel that a part of where that takes you is that obviously you're going to feel very crushed about that. But also at the same time, there's a really forgiving nature here that wants to empathize with this person's situation, and to forgive their shortfallings, and to really let them back into your world in a way that gives them another chance. And, it's based on that desire to want to have a long-standing relationship that's really secure, but also based on the fact that you really love them and that you don't want to lose them, and that you're prepared to put up with quite a lot, yeah, in terms of their behavior. And so I feel that over the longer term that's just not going to be sustainable, and that slowly but surely you'll begin to recognize the truth of what's happening. And essentially that, it will be much less about the other person and more about you, because, by allowing yourself to forgive them in a way that allows them to continue on what it is that they're doing in terms of, denying, the truth, it's just to create emotional carnage for you. And, it means that you're kind of the one left to pick up all of the pieces each and every time you get hurt. So I'm going to say that this relationship is over. And I think that you need to think very carefully about jumping in now to strengthen the boundaries of what is right and what is wrong for you. Because otherwise you're going to allow yourself to be walked over by this person in a way that is based on a lot of hope that they will actually meet you at the same level in terms of, the way they feel and what it is that you want for the future. But I just don't feel that that's actually going to happen. And I feel that the trust has already been breached to some degree, but things will just get worse. I think you've got to trust your instincts here. I think you're a very instinctual person. Don't go into a state of denial, based on the fact that you feel that you might not
find love again. You've got to do what is right in terms of being honest with yourself first and foremost. And if you do that, love will be just around the corner. Look, I hope this reading has made some sense to you, and if it has, feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Please like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. And if you are interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 4. This is your reading, and let's have a look and see what's going on here. Today we're talking about whether it's over, and we want to see whether this is going to succeed or not in terms of the outcome between the both of you. So first spot I'm drawn to is the Lovers and the Two of Swords, and I feel like the other person has blocked you. Ceased contact, no communication, could be a lot of different things. Maybe blocking you on social media, not taking your calls, not responding to voicemails, not returning emails. They could have just, gone AWOL. They just, you can't see them, you can't find them. They're actively avoiding you is what I'm saying. And I really feel like they're taking their power back by doing this. They're blocking you, they're saying, no, I've got the last word and I'm not moving forward on this particular connection. So I'm taking your power away from you. I'm in control and I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to negotiate. I'm not open to any conversation whatsoever. As far as I'm concerned, this issue is done and we're not moving forward in this anymore. So, it's pretty extreme actually. And I think that that's actually the difficult thing to deal with, because it means that you have no choices and you have to swallow what's been served up to you in a way that, just kind of makes it, there's no resolution to what's going on is what I'm saying. I feel if I look over here into the past with the Wheel and the Ten of Swords, I feel like this person has felt a lot of uncertainty about where things are going for quite some time. I feel like there's been quite a dramatic fallout here. They felt very upset, very angry about what's happening with you in a way where they felt that they're actually at risk. Yeah. They feel really let down, and I think this is numerous letdowns, or failures within the relationship that are caused by some sort of deep-seated problems between the both of you. And either way, they've kind of felt that they can't go on because they keep on getting hurt. Yeah, there's a lot of pain here and a lot of risk for them in a way where they're just they're obviously taking matters into their own hands and controlling the situation so that they don't get hurt again. I think they're very angry about that. They're very upset about it. They can't stop thinking about it. It's really in their mind and they're very rattling around in this experience. I think this has been dragging out for a really long time. I think it's not just one issue. I think it's a successive, number of issues that have accumulated over a long period of time. And then it's all come to a head, yeah, in quite a dramatic way. I feel like there's been some very dramatic interchanges here in terms of communication. I think it's been very negative. Maybe you both said things that you shouldn't have said. Maybe you both said things that you didn't really mean. Arguments or heated emotional discussions that fail to kind of, get to the point or fail to consider each other's views. There's just I kind of feel like things are really polarized. You're both at very extreme ends. I think you've both withdrawn and there's just no middle ground in the way that's, giving you a sense that you can actually really get back into your hearts, or back into some civility, really. I kind of feel like actually things have kind of come undone quite dramatically on that level. Yeah, so that's a lot to handle. It's a lot to digest, and I think actually for this person, they've just needed some space to pull back in a way where they can kind of clear their mind and figure out what's going on. And a part of that process at this current time is just blocking you so that they don't have to not thinking about it is probably a good thing, because it'll let things sift down for them on a level that makes more sense later on, because it's just been a very swampy, soupy experience for them. I'm going to come down here to the World and the Nine of Swords, and I feel that for you, there's been a lot of uncertainty about this relationship right from the get-go. Yeah, I think in the back of your mind, it's just been gnawing away at you. You just haven't been convinced that this is really what you want. I don't think you've been convinced that this can really work either. I think you've seen on one level that it has this amazing potential, but at the same time, I don't feel like you've felt that you can live up to that or accomplish that. And that raises some pretty serious questions for me, because I feel that there's a lot of fear in this for you, in a way that is quite self-sabotage. Yeah, I think that you've gotten really in your head about self-worth issues stemming from past relationships that have failed you. Also, your own sense of self-worth about who it is that you are as a person. I think you're very hard on yourself. I think you give yourself a really difficult time. I think that you think that you're never good enough, that you never succeed, that you never get the things that will give you fulfillment and happiness, that happiness and fulfillment is something that will always elude you. And that no matter how close it seems to come to you, it's not something that ever seems to be attainable. I think there's a history here for me of intimacy problems, and I'm going to be honest with you. I think they're part of. I'm going quite hard. This is hard love, but it needs to be said. I think that you find opening up at an intimate level, emotionally, maybe even physically for some of you, to be a really difficult experience, because it is the height of vulnerability. It means that you actually have to be your true, authentic self, and that is a really scary place. And I can see that this is based on some really solid criteria. That compensation to block people out, to jump ahead and kind of, sabotage the situation so that you don't have to deal with those issues is it's pretty sharp, because I think that your history has not shown you that people are there for you, that you can be vulnerable and let your guard down in a way where you let people in. So it's easier to pull back from going there than it is to go there and take that risk of actually experiencing the things that you've experienced in the past, if that makes sense. So I feel that, there's a lot going on there. And I think that the difficulty is that when it gets into that particular space for you, that you get very in your head about what's going on. And it's very difficult for you to see beyond what's rattling around in terms of the negative projections. Yeah, they overshadow any kind of ability to be able to constructively project forward into the future, into a successful outcome. So that's a lot for you to deal with. It's also, I think, a lot for this other person to deal with. I think that they've tried really hard to break through into being there for you in that sense. I get a really strong feeling that this person actually really loves you, and that they really want to be with you, and that they've been prepared to take those risks in a way where they've been fairly consistent, but they've also been fairly consistently blocked out as well. So they've tried to push in, but you've constantly tried to push back in a way where I think they've kind of given up, because it's like, well, I'm just getting hurt because I'm making the effort, but I'm not getting anywhere. Down here to the Tower and the King of Wands, and I felt that at the moment, they've blocked you, but at the same time, you're also ignoring them as well. I think that you're refocused on other areas of your life that are about constructive outcomes, because you need some sort of an outlet to feel that you're actually succeeding on a different level. And I think that you're actually really good at managing, crisis, like a crisis for everybody else, or for a crisis. You're a crisis manager, actually. I think you're very good at getting in and mopping things up and putting things back together in a really constructive way. You're very project orientated, very professionally focused, and I think that you're very hardworking. I think there's a born leadership quality there, at a professional level. But at the same time, I felt that you were turning your cheek on what it is that had happened here in a way where you're not wanting to face your responsibility in part to the downfall of this particular relationship. I think part of you knows that to make it right, that you need to acknowledge it, but at the same time, you're preoccupying yourself with other responsibilities so that you don't have to really face it at this point in time. I think also you're also hoping that they'll actually make the first move so that you don't have to. And that's understandable given, the sensitivities around, relationships for you. I think fundamentally you feel though that this relationship is over and that it's not workable, and that perhaps it's just time for you to move on in a way where you just need to think about yourself. I think so definitely putting all of this to the bottom of the list. Okay, but where's this all going? And the question is this over? And I don't feel that it is over. I feel that this person is actually going to evolve into the realization that they do really want to be with you and that they're actually going to have to fight for you. They don't want to give up on you. I think that they'll open up social media, they'll open up lines of communication. I think they'll network through friends first. And I also feel that friends can see what's going on. I think this might be their side, their friends. I think their friends feel that the both of you actually have a lot in common and that you actually have the basis for a really solid relationship. And I think that they're really in there batting for this in a way where they're giving them the push. So I think that things are going to open up, things will become more active in terms of communication. And I kind of feel that initially that you'll meet each other out, maybe socially, maybe amongst friends on neutral ground in a way where you can get familiar with each other. So there's a show of strength there. This person's rising up. They're not giving up on you. They realize that they'll have to fight for you and they want you and they're prepared to do that. This thing about children comes up for me. I think for them, they've also realized through this experience over the coming months, okay? And I'm going to say that this is not like a fast kind of tracked outcome. I feel that this is like a 2, 3, 4 month period of communicating, refamiliarizing yourselves with each other, seeing each other on neutral ground, actively socializing in a way where things kind of get back to some sense of not normality, but just a sense of productive outcomes, yeah? And I feel that this person has really figured through this process that they really want to have kids, actually, and that their future is about settling down with somebody and actually having kids. Now, that might not be for everybody, but, I definitely feel for some of you that will be the case. I get a sense, if I come down here to the Sun and the Three of Pentacles, I felt that from your point of view that, you were definitely on board and prepared to rebuild this relationship because they've shown you that they're really there for you, and they've kind of seen you with, it's kind of like a warts and all scenario. They've seen everything by this point. They kind of know you. They've seen you at your worst, but they've also seen you at your best. And the reality is that they are there for you one way or the other. They're not afraid of who it is that you are, and they can see that actually you are more afraid of yourself than anything else, and that it's probably not so much about them and it's a bit more about you than anything else. So I kind of feel that there's some forgiveness there that really eases things up and helps this to kind of become a more fluid exchange. I feel that as a result, your commitment will strengthen. And I really feel that this relationship is moving into some very secure territory that is about strengthening the commitment, rebuilding the relationship from ground up, and moving towards some kind of a commitment. And that means for some of you, that's actually about having a future with children. And that kind of changes everything for you on that particular level. So it's about the next level as far as the relationship is going. I think it's also about your own realization, that you actually have a process that is taking you towards a commitment with this person that is about the long term, and that you need to get over your vulnerability. I felt here that this could potentially mean for some of you that there was some sort of counseling or therapy that helped to reestablish the footing of the relationship, that certainly helped to reestablish the footing with yourself. That could be a lot of different things. That could be sort of like a very formal process of actually going and engaging and actually getting therapy, or it could be something that's very self-reflective and contemplative in terms of like a meditation approach. It could be about turning to friends or relatives or colleagues to confide in them in a way that actually gains support and different perspective from, like from an objective point of view. So my answer to this question is that it's not over. And I actually feel that this relationship has legs and a very solid future in terms of things moving forward into an outcome that actually for many of you will also mean a long-term commitment with kids. So look, I hope this reading has made some sense to you, and if it has, feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe. Tap on the bell icon, that'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is that you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care.